Speaking of people who fight for liberty, we've got Wayne Allyn Root, again, author of the Obama Survival Guide, the ultimate Obama Survival Guide, I should say, which is available on Amazon.com and, you know, bookstores everywhere. And I've never interviewed Wayne before, but he joins us now on the Alex Jones Show. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm having a good time here, just doing my part for liberty. How about you?
I'm so thrilled and honored that you have me on. I'm thrilled that you found me, and I'm really thrilled. It's the first time I've ever been on Alex Jones. I think I've done every conservative and libertarian talk show on the entire planet except Alex Jones, and I was waiting and wondering when Alex was ever going to call, so I'm glad you called.
Well, it's funny. I just happened across your book. I was literally shopping on Amazon, which I do a lot, you know, getting books and things, and your book popped up, and the title was fantastic. I did a little research on you. I found your website. I liked what you were proposing. For example, you proposed a one-year income tax holiday where none of us would pay any federal income taxes. Tell us about that.
I did. By the way, that's one of the things that got cut out of the book.
Oh.
You know what I did with this book is they gave me an impossible deal. They said, Wayne, you've got 60 days to write the book, The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. Can you do it?
Crazy.
And I said, are you crazy? 60 days? And they said, we have faith in you. You'll do it. And I did it. I brought it in 1 week early. They wanted 50,000 words. I delivered 100,000 1 week early. and what we decided was you can't, you know, the book already is 450 pages of solutions for America instead of the usual criticisms of Obama and nothing but. It's solutions. But they decided that, you know, we'll save the solutions for America for another day at another time. Let's just write the solutions for the individual. So they cut that out. But I think if you wanted to turn around this economy, you wanted to turn a horrible, what I call Obama Great Depression, into a boom economy, you would do Reagan on steroids. Ronald Reagan turned around Jimmy Carter's horrible economy, the worst since the Great Depression, in just 2 years by just cutting taxes from the 70% rate to the 20% rate. And overnight, voila, by rewarding the people that do all the work and invest all the money and risk all the money and work 16 hours a day, the entrepreneurs and the business owners, overnight, the whole economy turned around. And you could do the same thing now, but I would do it Reagan on steroids. I would give everyone a 1-year income tax vacation. For 1 year, we all get to keep our own money.
Well, I love the idea, and it's actually feasible because if you look at the banker bailouts that took place,
right,
the government instantly created over $1 trillion when they wanted to, and they gave it to the banksters. They could just create another $1 trillion. Let's see, the personal income tax paid to the federal government each year is about $2 trillion?
1.2 trillion.
1.2, okay.
Correct.
So they could create that instantly and just say, you don't have to pay any taxes this year. They could do it.
Let me go a step further. Not only are you right, instead of giving it to the bankers, they've given it to the people, the citizens, and the small business owners, the entrepreneurs. But on top of that, the stimulus that Obama created was about $1 trillion. It was, you know, 800 billion, give or take a 50 billion or so. So maybe it was 850 billion. So that's almost 1.2 trillion. So if you had enough money to give a stimulus out to the biggest Democratic contributors in the world, and the people who supported Obama to just hand money to the unions and the Democratic contributors and the people who started green energy companies.
Yeah, crony capitalism.
And the Obama supporters, you certainly would have had $1 trillion to give to the actual people that create the jobs, which are us, the taxpayer. We should get to keep our own money instead of handing it out to others. So it's a tragedy that no one thinks this way, or not enough people think this way. And I just got back. I rushed back to do the interview with you. I gave a keynote speech at a major event in Las Vegas at the Mirage Hotel, and I was telling them a similar story. I was saying, you guys don't get it. This is a worldwide conspiracy. Obama's part of it, but almost every country in the world is doing the same thing, to create two classes of people: the super rich, who are dependent on government for bribes to stay super rich and to get even richer, bribes like stimulus and bailout and all the other things, from green energy to government contracts, and of course to pump $85 billion a month into the stock market to make sure the richest CEOs in America sell their
thank the
stock
Fed for that.
$50 to $100 million a year, and then they all support Obama in return for him creating a two-class society: the super rich and the rest of us who are all poor or going to soon be poor, dependent on government. So both classes desperately are dependent on the guy in charge, and this creates bigger government and more powerful government and central banks all over the world.
Well, that's what's maddening about this, the entire Obama philosophy, which is actually bigger than Obama himself, obviously.
Correct.
But the philosophy is the destruction of innovation and entrepreneurship and small business, the destruction of any self-reliance or independence. It's all about putting everybody in a victim role, so they're dependent on the government, and it is destroying the U.S. economy.
Well, let me tell you a story, a funny story from my book. I mean, like I said, my book is mostly solutions, and I hope we get to them before this interview's over. But I still got to tell you this story. I'm the one who's interrupting. I got to tell you this. I'm the only guy who could put Obama at the scene of the crime in this whole country, because I was his college classmate. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Class of '83, Columbia University. He says he graduated class of '83, same day as me. Says he was political science, same as me. Says he was pre-law, same as me. If that's true, I never met him. But if that's true, and that's strange too, but let's not get into that. I never saw him, never heard of him, never met him in my entire life. Don't know anyone who did. But assuming he went there, and he probably just never went to class, probably too busy attending Communist Party meetings.
Hi, Ted Anderson, president of Midas Resources. With over 30 years of experience in the precious metals business, I can tell you without a doubt, we are facing the most dangerous and volatile times, not just in the United States, but worldwide. Peace of mind is gold and silver. Now is the time to invest in gold. When it comes to bullion coins, our prices are competitive and the closest to melt. If it's numismatics you're looking for, we have some of the best deals out there. Visit MidasResources.com today or go to Infowars.com and click on the link to see our daily specials. Here's an example of one of our long-term specials we've been offering for more than a year. 2 silver dollars from the turn of the last century, plus 2 powerful films, The Obama Deception and The American Dream. We also add in the book Dishonest Money, all for $72 and free shipping. The most trusted name in precious metals is Midas Resources. Call 1-800-686-2237 or go to Infowars.com. I'm Ted Anderson with Midas Resources.
We are now only entering the edge of a global financial superstorm, the likes of which the planet has never seen. Here in the United States, the private Federal Reserve is giving more than $85 billion of taxpayer money a month to themselves and other offshore foreign banks. And the worst part is, we have to pay the bank's interest on the money we give them. There is now a race between the global central bank mafia cartels to see who can devalue their country's currencies the fastest. We are already seeing big increases in inflation at the grocery store and the gas line. This will eventually lead to hyperinflation. More than a dozen top globalists like George Soros have been buying record amounts of gold while at the same time bad-mouthing it to the public. Don't just listen to what they say. Watch what they do. For more than 6,000 years of recorded human history, gold has been the ultimate hedge against uncertain times and inflation. Before investing in metals, it is important to do your own research and find a reputable company. Midas Resources has the highest Better Business Bureau rating of an A+. Unfortunately, very few precious metal companies can boast that. Midas Resources has assembled one of the most educated, researched, and professional teams of brokers in the industry. The evidence is overwhelming. In uncertain times, gold and silver is safe harbor. Now is the time to invest in gold. Call 800-686-2237 and Midas Resources will mail you 10 reasons to own gold absolutely free. No shipping. It's absolutely free. And finally, Ted Anderson wants to challenge you to find any deal that comes close to his 2 silver dollars at cost with free shipping with 2 free films and a book for $72. That's more than $160 value for $72 shipping included. Click the link at Infowars.com to go to the MidasResources.com specials page. Brought to you by MidasResources.com and Ted Anderson, the trusted name in precious metals.
Yeah, we're continuing our interview with Wayne Allyn Root, author of The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. But real quick, before we go back to Wayne, just want to give you an update on the Infowars store. If you want to get some of the chlorella that we've been providing, the superfood, the cleanest chlorella on the planet, bar none, lab tested, super low, any kind of contaminants, the lowest you will find in any chlorella anywhere in the world. The stuff is almost sold out, and it's going to be, I think, the end of May before we can get another shipment in. So I think there are just a few hundred bags left at InfoWarsStore.com. If you want to get the cleanest chlorella on the planet and help support InfoWars, get it now. It's going to be sold out probably in about 10 days. or less, now that I mentioned it, unfortunately. But anyway, there's more on the way, so we'll have more in June for you, and it's really the best, absolutely the best chlorella out there, no question about it. Now, getting back to Wayne Allyn Root, the author of the Ultimate Obama Survival Guide, let me read you a quote from Wayne's website that I found, and I like this quote. It's perfect. It's also very uncensored. This is why I like talking to Wayne. He says, quote, "Obama is purposely overwhelming the U.S. economy to create systemic failure, economic crisis, and social chaos, thereby destroying capitalism and our country from within. But the bonus is brilliant. As he destroys and taxes to death business owners, he also cripples his political opposition." Strong words, but accurate, Wayne.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I just wanted to mention real quick. I sat here, during the break listening to your ads, and your ads are my book. The Alex Jones Show is my book, The Ultimate
Really?
Survival Guide. My book is about lots of great financial advice from 18 of the richest guys in the country, and from me, a common-sense small businessman, how you prosper on all the terrible moves Obama's going to make. And they're not a mistake. He's not inexperienced. They're purposeful. And then my book is about homeschooling, because we homeschool our 4 children, and my oldest is attending Harvard and now Oxford, straight-A student at both, even though she was never in a single government classroom in her life, which proves you don't need the government to educate your kids. And then I interviewed a U.S. Special Forces commando about survival techniques, what you do if everything goes to hell, how to turn your home into a fortress and protect your family, what guns you need, what bullets you need, how much water, how much food. And I'm listening to these ads. I take chlorella, I take probiotics, I take 100 vitamin pills a day. It's the reason I have the energy of 100 men. This is me. So I'm so proud to be on your show. I think I found a home. That's what the Ultimate Obama Survival Guide's about. But back to the Columbia story, because I think you'll really be fascinated by this. So I go to Columbia University, and Obama claims he graduated on the same day, and so he must have gone to the same classes, even though I never saw him. He must have known the same people. He must have hung out in the same restaurants nearby, and we must have talked about the same things. Do you know what they talked about at Columbia 24 hours a day for 4 years?
No.
Destroying capitalism. Taking down the American system. I was the Reagan conservative at Columbia, and I had to sit and listen to nothing but communist and Marxist radicals all day long telling me how racist America was and how terrible America was and how it was a system that breeded inequality and there was no fairness and the system had to be taken down completely and destroyed. And how did they plan to do it? All day long for 4 years, this is what I heard ad nauseum. How did these radicals, who all outwardly, proudly, publicly said, Wayne, I'm a communist, they said this. All my fellow students, not most of them, 99% of them said they hated the system and resented the system and wanted to destroy capitalism and bankrupt all the rich people. And they said they do it with a system called Cloward and Piven. 2 Columbia professors who were married, who had a system. You had to destroy America from within, and you could only do it by electing a guy who's a handsome guy, who looks good, who wears nice suits, who cuts his hair or his afro to look like a lawyer. He looks like Mr. Prosecutor, Mr. Lawyer, someone you respect, the businessman. He shakes hands, he kisses babies, he hugs women, he smiles with pearly white teeth. He tells people that he's a uniter, not a divider. He tells people he's a moderate, not a radical. Well, and
he's a convincing linguistic speaker with lots of manipulations in his speech. He tells people he's a moderate, while in reality he's a communist or a Marxist. And then he destroys the system from within with this specific, Mike, this specific agenda. He overwhelms the system with government spending, debt, and entitlement, meaning food stamps, disability, welfare, aid to dependent children, free meals at school, unemployment extended forever. Let me ask you something, folks. Does this sound like what's happening right now? Yeah.
This isn't a mistake.
That's the playbook right there.
That's it. This isn't a mistake. This was a purposeful plan devised at Columbia University in front of me. And my classmate got elected, and he is carrying it out. Don't think Obama's dumb. I think he's brilliant.
Well, he's a brilliant manipulator, absolutely. Now, we got to go to another break here, but when we come back from the break, I'd like you to get into some of the solutions. Specifically, how do we protect ourselves from the train wreck of Obamacare and all the new taxes that are going to be kicking in over the next 3 years to punish us for not buying the overpriced private insurance that the government wants us to buy? And how do we protect ourselves from the economy being gutted by Obama?
Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds?
Just to throw everybody for a loop, what we ought to do, we were talking about this during the break here with the crew, we ought to have like a pressure cooker homeless food drive, you know, like drive around town with a bunch of pressure cookers on a trailer, feeding the homeless, just to freak people out, to say, gosh, are they good or are they evil? I mean, they're helping hungry people, but my God, they have pressure cookers, and pressure cookers are evil. That's the kind of thing we like to do, just to make people think, you know? I'm sure the Austin police would find that very amusing. Anyway, I'm sure they're listening right now, shaking their heads. Oh my God, I hope these InfoWars people don't drive around town with pressure cookers. But getting back to our guest, Wayne, do you have a pressure cooker in your home? Because that could be a sign that you're evil.
Yeah, well, certainly Obama thinks I'm evil because I have the Ultimate Obama Survival Guide as my book. And by the way, we don't have time for this today, but I wrote a commentary at The Blaze, Glenn Beck's site, back in, I don't know, I guess it was last August, about the fact that literally no one in the country has a bigger mouth than me against Obama. I've been everywhere in the media for 4 years ripping this guy to shreds, and suddenly I had a major IRS attack.
Really?
In my life. I mean, literally, they came after me with a vengeance, and I had to hire one of the best tax lawyers in America, if not the best tax lawyer, and he said, my God, I've never seen anything like this. You are on the president's enemies list. So you're talking about a Chicago thug that comes after people with the government, with the police state, with the Internal Revenue Service. You're talking about massive audits, massive taxes, massive regulations. Did you know I went to the government's own website, and the last 90 days, from January 1st till the end of the first quarter, March 31st, 6,118 new government regulations. This guy must have sweatshops with lawyers working in shifts 24 hours a day to think up ways to destroy the American economy.
That's true.
6,000 rules in 90 days?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
That's how they wrote the health care bill. It had to be like a sweatshop word processing convention.
And they're doing it with the immigration bill, too.
Yep.
It's almost 1,000 pages. And you know there's lawyer legalese in it that none of us can even read.
No,
that is intended to destroy the country. You know it.
The trick is to overwhelm the legislators with so much language that they can't possibly parse it.
And overwhelm guys like me. I can't keep up with all the bad bills and bad policies and bad executive actions that Obama's putting in place.
That's right.
My head is spinning like I'm on The Exorcist, okay? That's the plan.
Well, let's get to some solutions, though. We promised the listeners that, and I know that's what your book is mostly about. It's called The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. And by the way, I ordered your book.
Last 3 weeks, #1 finance book at Amazon and the #1 conservative or liberal book.
Really? Well, good job. I don't know. I'd never heard of it until a couple of days ago. So I just literally stumbled across it online. I ordered the book. I haven't received it yet, so I haven't read it yet. But in any case, it sounds very intriguing. Tell us about some of the solutions that are in the book.
So I came up with an 18-point plan that I believe as a common-sense small businessman could help you compete with Obama. It's called Y-Pods, because I know everything needs a catchy name. Y-Pods. It's your personal Obama defense shield. Y-Pods.
I like it.
And then I went out and interviewed 18 of the richest guys in America to make sure I was right and asked them what their game plan is. And these guys are worth $100 million or more, a couple of billionaires, 3 of them manage billion-dollar hedge funds. And guess what they said? They all basically agreed. I wrote 18 chapters with what they said in the book. So you get my advice, and then you get the advice of 18 really rich, successful guys telling you what they're doing. It kind of matched.
But is it also applicable to regular income people who aren't wealthy?
It was all written for middle-class people. Certainly my 18-point plan is. So here's some things that we all agreed on, though. I think it's important to hear what me, Wayne Root, a small businessman, common sense guy said that agrees with what the 18 millionaires and billionaires, highfalutin guys said. Who all dislike Obama, by the way. So they're more us than they are them. But having said that, so #1, they all agreed you got to buy gold. There wasn't one of the 18 who didn't believe that gold isn't the answer as the economy is destroyed, as debt is massively increased, as spending will only go up whether it's Republicans or Democrats. It isn't going to make a difference. Is Obama the worst? Yeah. Is he the worst on steroids? Yes. Is he the biggest government nanny, state socialist, Marxist you'll ever find? Yes. But guess what? Romney wouldn't have been much better, and George W. Bush wasn't much better, and even my hero, Ronald Reagan, government increased dramatically under Reagan. So you're never going to stop it. It just isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So the debt will continue to go up. And if you know the debt will go up in America and all over the world, Japan is basically twice as in debt as America, twice as bad as Greece. Japan is dead. If you know Europe is dead, Europe's entering a Great Depression right now as we speak. I believe America is as well, but Europe's even worse.
Well, yeah, and they're just taking money out of private bank accounts across Europe.
Private bank accounts. And the only way according to big government liberals, the only way out, see, to me, the way out, Mike, is you cut spending dramatically.
course.
And so the only way out is you inflate. You inflate. You print, you spend, you
That's
spend,
right.
you spend. So therefore, you want to own gold. Here are some numbers that will blow your mind, though. I'll bet your audience never heard these numbers. They're from my book. In 1913, if you had $1 million, today it's worth $40,000. If you kept your money in the U.S. dollar, it's worth $40,000 because the effects of inflation.
Right.
If you took the same million, you put it in gold, you know what it's worth today?
40 million?
77 million.
77 million.
If you took $1 million in the year 1971, today it's worth 200,000. If you took the same million, put it in gold, over 40 million today. So when CNBC and all their experts tell you not to buy gold, and Warren Buffett tells you not to buy gold, gold has outperformed Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway stock by 300% since the year 2000.
No, they tell you not to buy gold because that's a political agenda on their part.
Correct. They want you in the U.S. dollar, and
Yes.
they want you in the stock market to make all these rich guys rich. They could back Obama, all for the obvious reasons they want to fool you. Biggest Ponzi scheme in world history, by the way, the stock market.
Oh,
Biggest
of
Ponzi
course.
scheme ever.
Of course.
Completely rigged. So, number two, what do these guys say? What do I say? Move to a no-tax state. So you can't avoid Obama's taxes. Now, I'm not a magic man, Mike. I can't wave a wand and say you won't have to pay the taxes. But at least if you're living in Nevada, where I live, if you're living in Texas or Florida, your state income tax is zero. So as Obama increases taxes by, say, 20%, which is overwhelming, and you can't survive, and you can't pay your mortgage, and you can't take care of your kids properly, you go to a state where you pay 20% less, and it evens out. You're not doing any better, but at least you're not doing worse.
Right.
So all of the 18 millionaires and billionaires have moved to either Nevada, Texas, or Florida. It was just random. I called them. I didn't know they lived in those states. They all said, I got out of Illinois. I got out of New York. I got out of California.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a nightmare tax
state. You got to
state.
get out of Maryland and move to Virginia. Much better just walking across a border. So that's one way to help yourself. They all said invest in farmland and agriculture stocks.
I've said the same thing. Yeah, food-producing land. Yep.
So when the price of food goes up and there's food shortages, you'll cheer instead of get mad. They said invest in, believe it or not, energy stocks, because they said instead of walking up to the pump and filling up your gas tank and complaining, next time you'll cheer when the price of gas goes up. Why are you complaining when all you have to do is own ExxonMobil, and when the price goes up, you make money?
Well, I wouldn't own ExxonMobil, but I hear what you're saying there. But what about defense against Obamacare? What can we do in that realm?
Well, first of all, I interviewed a doctor, a real important MD who refused to put his name on it. He did an anonymous chapter that told you all the ways to deal with Obamacare. But I'd rather tell you the financial end that I recommend.
Sure.
And the financial end is, look, you'll deal with Obamacare by hearing what medical experts say. I'm not one and don't claim to be one, but I'm a financial guy. I'm a smart, common sense guy. And I think you should invest in medical real estate and medical stocks. Why? Because the government is the one now in charge of medical. And the government, when they spend, couldn't care less how much they're spending, because there's no one watching over them, and it's not their money. So we all know they buy $10 wrenches at the Pentagon for $500, and they fix toilets with a little ring that costs 20 cents, and they pay $100 for it. So they're now going to do that in the medical field. So if I was you, I would make sure I owned pharmaceutical companies on the stock exchange. I would make sure I owned any form of a medical company that will benefit from 40 million people without health insurance being now forced into the system, and the government's paying the bill. I think health insurance companies, Mike, are going to get rich.
Well, but I hear you on the financial side, but what about morally? I'm going to challenge a little bit on this point on the pharmaceutical companies, because morally, so many of these companies are engaged in so many crimes, corruption, bribery, kickbacks, killing people, medical experiments on children, and so on.
You could challenge me, and I won't debate you. All I'll say to you is I'm a capitalist, and I believe in making money, because with the money I could choose to do good. I give a lot of money to charity. I give about $100,000 a year to charity. I take care of people. I take care of my family. And if all of you make money on my advice, you'll do good things with your money, protect your own families. To me, it's sticking your head in the sand to say, morally, I disagree with what pharmaceutical companies do, because I'm with you. I disagree. I'm a health nut. I eat organic food and take 100 vitamin pills a day, and I hate what the FDA does on behalf of pharmaceutical companies to good vitamin manufacturers. But having said that, if I see a good opportunity, I'm going to try and make some money and help you protect your family.
Well,
here's the really big one.
I would say, but by the way, let's throw this in. I would say there are some medical device companies that are a lot more ethical than the big pharma companies. Are very unethical, but there might be some, let's say, generic pharmaceutical companies that aren't engaged in all these crimes, that are just doing sort of basic, antibiotics that that are acceptable in limited use and things like that. I just got to say this because, you know, my nickname is the Health Ranger, and I fought against the pharmaceutical companies for so long. I wouldn't recommend putting any money into those companies.
Well, listen, my ultimate recommendation for the medical end of things for fighting Obamacare is you don't want to get in the system.
That's right.
You don't
Yeah,
want to deal
that's
with
right.
government, so you want to take vitamins, you want to be healthy, you want to work out.
Absolutely.
You want to eat organic, and so invest in Whole Foods.
Yes.
Whole Foods Company. Invest in vitamin manufacturers.
Yes.
That's your angle, okay?
Yeah, got
But
it.
these are all common sense ways to take advantage. I just never want to get in the system. I'm going to be so healthy, I don't want to ever get near a hospital or be involved in the system.
Yeah, because once you do, then you get sicker, then you get C. diff infections, then you get superbugs.
Correct.
Then you get side effects. Then it's
meanwhile,
worse.
all you have to do is eat healthy and take vitamins, and you never get sick. I've
That's
never
right.
been sick in my life. And I've been taking vitamins since I was 15 years old. I've been a vitamin nut. I was a bodybuilder and an athlete, and I took good care of my body, never smoked, never drank, never done a drug, lots of vitamins, lots of working out, and I've never really been sick other than the sniffles in my whole life. So you don't need the medical system if you take care of yourself, but the government and the pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know that. But, Mike, that doesn't mean I'm not willing to make a bet on a pharmaceutical company and make an extra $10,000 and therefore take care of my family. I think that's smart thinking.
Well, but the real issue here is that Obama is forcing us to buy into a system that we don't want to use.
Understood. It's all going to come crashing down. We all know that.
Right.
It cannot work. But invest in foreign stocks, bonds, and real estate may be the most important thing I could tell you today. Because not only did I write that as my singular most important thing besides gold and moving to a low-tax state, that was number 3, but all the 18 millionaires and billionaires agreed, don't invest in American biotech companies, don't invest in American pharmaceutical, invest in ones that supply China, India, Hong Kong, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Australia, New Zealand, Switzerland. Why? Because those are countries where people are still hungry and ambitious, and they know you either work or you starve to death. So those countries are going to kick our butt for the next 10 years and grow much faster than us. And you want to invest in ETFs, exchange-traded funds, and mutual funds that invest in those countries' pharmaceutical and technology and electronic and hospitality companies, not American ones.
Well, what about people who don't have money to invest? I mean, they're barely getting by. The tax burden is so huge.
It's horrible.
There's so much money going out the door.
In Nevada than you are
what do
in
they
New York.
do?
So listen, if you have no money, I can't wage a magic wand and make you money, but I could tell you move to a place where you keep more of your own money. You don't work one day longer, but you keep an extra 10 or 20%.
That makes sense.
I could have you invest in your children's education by explaining how I homeschooled my daughter to Harvard and Oxford. She's now a straight-A student and won the John Harvard Award and the highest honors at Oxford a month ago without ever being in a classroom in her life. And I could show you that in the Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. And then I can educate you as to, through a U.S. Military Special Forces Commando, how to buy the best survival materials you can for your house to turn your home into a fortress and to take care of your family. All of that without me being the expert. I found the right experts in the Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. And here's one more thing for a guy who doesn't make a lot of money, Mike. I said this on Fox News 2 days ago. I said, you know, you have like people like school teachers. I don't mean to single out anyone, but I always hear school teachers, members of the teachers union complaining, I only make $70,000 a year. I should make $100,000. I should make $150,000. No, the taxpayers aren't responsible for your money. God never woke up one day and said, you have a right to only work one job, and the U.S. Constitution doesn't say that. Go get a second job. Go get a third job. You may have to work twice as hard to make half the money. That's what I do. How come you can't do it? I have multiple careers, Mike. I work 16 hours a day. I work weekends. I work holidays. I've never taken a full day off in 20 years, and that's why Obama calls me rich. But you know what the reality is? I'm a very hard-working guy. Maybe everyone should take up that idea that you got to work hard in America to make money again, and maybe a poor person will become much more successful with that mindset.
I completely agree. I completely agree with you. Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. You know, built my network, my system from nothing but hard work for, you know, decades of hard work. But you see, psychologically, the system today has become so invested in victimization and dependence.
Correct.
That on the radical left, I'm going to say, they feel like your money belongs to them. You know,
Correct.
How dare you want to keep your money? They should get the food stamps. They should get unlimited welfare. You know,
well,
and Obama encourages that.
Mad. They want to pull you down to their level.
Yes, they do.
Shared misery.
Yes.
But, you know, listen, when you talk about victimization, I'll tell you a very funny story. Did you know in January, did Alex Jones tell his audience in January that the United States government labeled anyone who has food allergies as disabled? Did you know that?
No.
And I've had terrible food allergies my whole life, and that's the reason I got into vitamins and health food. I'm gluten intolerant, and I I don't eat regular bread anymore. I eat the gluten-free bread. I don't want a wheelchair. I don't want a disability check. It's no big deal. I've lived a wonderful life while I have terrible allergies. Who cares? But this is all part of Obama's campaign to destroy us mentally and make us all believe we are weak and incapable of taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely. I think that's it, is essentially the Marxist mindset. It sucks the soul out of humans. I mean, it literally sucks your soul away and leaves you as a pathetic victim, a dependent, and also a de-educated, dumbed-down person. You mentioned your daughter was homeschooled, and Ron Paul has worked with Gary North to put out a homeschool curriculum that looks fantastic. But public education is really about de-educating people to make them, as George Carlin said, obedient workers to the system.
Correct.
How bad is that?
Well, I think that's the reason Obama was reelected. So he's smart. That's why they do that. They push you like sheep or cattle. They herd you into the public school system where you were taught on a daily basis this is a terrible nation. It is a racist nation. It hates blacks, gays, and Hispanics. It hates anyone who isn't white in the power structure, and that we have to atone for terrible things we've done forevermore. Our nation's built upon greed, and you've got to elect people like Barack Obama with a politically correct agenda that believes in fairness, equality, and social justice. And sure enough, we reelected a man who has created the worst economy since the Great Depression in 1929, and most of the damage has been upon women, blacks, and Hispanics.
Yep, that's right. He's damaging his own support base. Now,
correct.
We've only got a few seconds left here, Wayne. I want you to give out your website so people can check out your information there.
Sure. Well, the book is The Ultimate Obama Survival Guide. It's the #1 finance and #1 political book at Amazon for 3 weeks now, and it's available at Amazon.com or any fine bookstore, Sam's Club, Costco, Barnes & Noble. And my website is root4america.com. That's ROOT, 4america.com, because, Mike, that's what I do every day is root for this great country, root for America.
Well, I love your enthusiasm, Wayne, and most of your ideas. Your book is awesome. I'm going to read it soon, so thanks for joining us here today.
Hey, thank you, and God bless everyone. Let's keep fighting. We got to save the middle class and small business from these crazy people who are out to wipe us out.
All right. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you. All right, there goes Wayne Allyn Root there.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.